I had some competition-winning coffee, which was heavily fermented back in, I think, 2018. I remember having it. It was very interesting compared to what I had before. Does it fully come from competitions, the innovation, or it was just taken into competition and popularized by competition? That's maybe the question we need to ask here if we're discussing this topic. But it's clear that this, in general, the innovation of fermenting coffees was really super popularized by competition.
This episode is brought to you by Belco. Belco is above all the story of a journey that started in 2008 with a simple intuition. To truly understand coffee, you have to be closer to the people who grow it. Today, that journey looks like a team of around 80 coffee professionals spread across France, Ethiopia, Colombia, and Guatemala. Agronomists, quality specialists, logistics experts, and buyers, all united around three core values: sustainability, quality, and transparency. Along the way, they realized something essential. You can't really know coffee from a distance. So they took a bold step and became exporters at origin on the ground year-round. In 2015, Belco opened its first origin office in Ethiopia, the birthplace of Arabica. From Guji to Yirgacheffe, Sadama to Jimma, they built a sourcing model rooted in presence, learning, and trust. A few years later, they brought that same philosophy to Colombia, working from Quindío with producing communities in Cauca, Huila, and Santander. Now, in 2026, Belco wants to open this journey to you. To celebrate 10 years in Ethiopia, they're launching a roasters camp in Addis Ababa. 2 days of cuppings, conversations, and shared expertise, with a second camp in Colombia in June 2026. If you're curious, passionate, or simply want to deepen your understanding of origin work, they'd love to have you join. Check the show notes for contact details to be a part of these experiences. Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward, friends. I'm your host, Lee Safar, and this is unfortunately the final episode of what has been a truly fantastic 5-part series with Samo from ZHAW, Zurich University of Applied Sciences. Everyone go and follow Samo if you're not already following him. He truly has, the content that he posts is truly interesting with regards to kind of tools and grinding and the innovation that's happening in coffee. I'm not somebody that likes to follow people who are doing that kind of thing in coffee. It makes me throw up a little bit in my mouth, but Samo is somebody that I do follow, and I find what you do really interesting, Samo. We are going to have perhaps the episode that I'm excited about the most, the conversation now. We are going to talk about our coffee competitions where the innovation happens in coffee. And if there's anything that makes me throw up in my mouth any more than, coffee celebrities, it's when people who compete in coffee competitions tell me the reason coffee competitions will never go away is because that's where the innovation happens in coffee. I find this really insulting because I don't agree with that statement, but I wonder if you agree with that statement. Are coffee competitions where innovation happens in coffee?
I think
Silence.
I think not. I think this is not. If you can call it innovation or creativity or. But really, we have to be objective. If you say this is where the innovation happens in coffee industry is huge. So specialty coffee is, I don't know, what would be a good estimate of the percentage?
I think say 20%,
15%.
20% is on the
globally.
generous side, right? Is
very generous.
Yeah.
Let's say 10-15%.
Yeah.
It's a more realistic what we think specialty coffee coming from the specialty coffee industry, not pushing too much. And then most of the people who are in specialty coffee, who are consumers, I think they probably not even heard that there are competitions in coffee. I'm not sure how many people actually know about the competition, but I would not be surprised that a lot of people who are just consumers and not following social media crazily, and just coffee drinkers probably don't know about the competition. So it's a small percentage of a small percentage. So it's very tiny. So does it have an impact on the whole industry? not directly. Of course, we should not now completely neglect what happened in the competitions in the past. We've seen some degree of innovation. I would not say that it's general that their innovation happens. That's not, I think it's not true. I think that great innovative ideas that came from competition, we saw them implemented quite well in the business. We can see, like, there was a famous grinder that come from competition that was nearly forgotten, nearly this what's the word? So went off the production line, that it was not considered to not be produced anymore, and it came back as a huge hit because of a competition. So through marketing, because of competition. We also see certain tools that are what were first used at competition, now used. Also brewing, yes. But I think in the end, those are rather, given how much competition there is, how many competitors there are, and everyone is looking for the unique routine, those are just some examples of success that worked from competitions, but they're not really a rule that we could say that fully the innovation is happening from the competition side in coffee.
In your mind, what are the kinds of innovations that are, separate from the tools and whatnot? I'm leading you somewhere here, very deliberately. Let's talk about co-fermented coffees. Let's talk about infused coffees. Let's talk about all of that kind of stuff, because that seems to have been an innovation, in inverted commas, that created a lot of controversy with regards to the competitions. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think first of all, maybe we should ask: does this come from the competitions? I'm not right now. I'm not perfectly sure, so couldn't say. I know that I had some competition-winning coffee, which was heavily fermented back in, I think, 2018. I remember having it. It was very interesting compared to what I had before. Does it fully come from competitions, the innovation, or it was just taken into competition and popularized by competition? That's maybe the question we need to ask here if we're discussing this topic. But it's clear that this, in general, the innovation of fermenting coffees was really super popularized by competition. So, and then that it was a competitions were kind of as a marketing tool, you could say, in a bit of some way, to popularize these coffees and that they became more mainstream. But of course, we have to be also aware that these heavily fermented coffees also have very clear fruity descriptors, which are easy to identify by the consumers. So it's much easier to get some dark berry notes in a heavily fermented coffee than is to find jasmine in a washed Ethiopian. For a non-coffee specialist, for like somebody who drank dark roast most of the time and then tries his first specialty coffee, it's much easier this way for people to get into specialty coffee because of these clear flavors. And this is why also in competitions these coffees excel, because they have clear attributes, right?
Right.
And then it's a relation, or like another relation, let's say a consequence of the how competitors are graded and what kind of coffees are preferred. So if you have clear flavors, you get easily points, even if you make mistakes on the barista side, on the preparation of the pug or on the extraction.
They're more forgiving.
It's easier to get to the descriptors that you present with this type of coffees. That's why they're favored in the competition.
Yeah, and we were talking with Tim Wendelbo and George Howell a couple of weeks ago, and I raised the question to them because they're obviously they're not fans of co-fermented coffees, and I said to them, "Do you think the issues that we're having at origin with regards to climate, with regards to soil, that are leading us to have lesser quality coffees, or making it more difficult to have better quality coffee that's grown that really does represent the terroir that it is involved in. Has that been the thing that led producers to need to do co-ferment so that they can reinvigorate that coffee or whatever? And in their mind, Tim, who is a coffee farmer, believes that is a part of it. And it just so happens that when they introduce that to the market, consumers love it. I can tell you in the Middle East, if you have a co-fermented coffee on your menu, that is going to be the first thing that sells, and they will pay whatever you want for it.
There's many, Where does it come from? I don't know, but this is what is clear with what you said. There's markets where whatever co-ferment that has reasonably good flavor, everything will sell. I spoke to some roasters. They say themselves that they hate this coffee.
They love that it sells.
They buy it because it makes them money, it makes their consumers happy, and that every lot that they released, it gets sold within days because it's in such a high demand.
Go on.
Why is this so? It's of course because of clear flavors, but also probably because of lack of education.
Right.
Consumer education is also a thing that we should do in this industry a bit more to try to steer the consumer towards the right thing to do, because sometimes the innovation shouldn't be driven by the consumer, only by consumer.
Okay.
I mean, we've seen where we gotten with this. As a good example is the automotive industry. I mean, we don't have buttons in cars anymore, and we have everything on the screen because consumers at some point wanted to have more screen, more tech, and they were buying this. And now we've gotten to an extreme where it's just like, it's a low quality product because it's actually cheaper to have everything on screen apart from adding buttons, right? So it's like something that came from consumers was in the end first thought well that it's going well, and then in the end is kind of hitting the industry back with this feedback loop where it's starting to create problematic things that we can't get out of. And I think many industries are facing this issue.
An interesting version of that is the latest coffee fad over here is tobacco coffee. Have you heard of this?
Tobacco, not. Tobacco coffee. No, does it have to do anything with coffee?
Yeah. So it's a co-ferment that tastes like a vape and a cigar all at the same time.
Yeah. So it's fermented with tobacco.
And probably fruit because of a vape.
Okay, yeah. I've heard of hemp coffee and hops coffee fermented with this, but not tobacco. But it's one of,
Tobacco coffee here. I had a friend, he was telling me, I said to him, listen, what's this tobacco coffee thing? And he said, Lee, you won't believe it. I asked for a bag. I bought a bag of it. I roasted it. And I gave it to some people to try and they went crazy over it. So I bought a ton of it. And that went really, really quickly. So I then said to the guy, give me 4 tons of it. He said it went before, like people called me up and said, I want it for my roastery, and it went really quickly again. He called up the producer and said, how much of it do you have left? He said 6 containers. He said, give me all of it. He sold all 6 containers before it landed in the country.
Yeah, so what we discussed in one of the previous episodes, that's a high quality product for business because it made a lot of money. Of course, it's good for the roaster. And I think from my point of view, the issue is not here about these co-fermented coffees if they're made well. Because first of all, if it's transparently declared that all the ingredients are declared, that's fine. If this is allowed to do, to add things to coffee and call it coffee, some legal issues in Europe. I'm not sure where the status is right now, how it is with this. It's too small to be noticed probably by the authorities, because there's quite some, at least in Europe, quite some strict rules about what can you call coffee and what is not coffee. But anyway, if this is all clear and it's all transparent and consumers like this product, I say, why not? It's great. I mean, I've just, again, for this festival that I was in Prague 2 days ago, I also noticed something really good. One of the roasteries, they had on their packaging, they called the coffee, this coffee is fake. And then on the backside, it said it's a coffees and strawberry co-ferment.
Okay,
And
that's
it
going a
sells.
bit far, saying it's fake.
It's going far, but it's like that's how they do it. There's like the roaster doesn't like these coffees, but consumer like them, and he was a bit kind of going far with positioning their products. But
So
he
he's
says that,
selling a product
consumers
he doesn't
still
believe
buy
in.
it. I know I think there's many roasters who sell co-ferment as a product that they don't believe in.
ZHAW would never sell a co-ferment. Tim Wendelboe, I'm pretty sure, wouldn't sell a co-ferment because because they've publicly stated that there's in their mind are coffees that they don't. These guys set the example of what they believe in, right? And
yeah, I mean that's part of their brand, right? Their brand are purists on coffees, but there's roasteries who just they want to survive, they want to make money, and that's what maybe they provoke the consumer into
marketing
into this about as marketing in this way, that they kind of want to make them clear. Yeah, great. If you like this, we will make it for you, but we're pretty open that this is not how coffee tastes like. That it's a fake. I mean, in some sort of way, fake coffee flavor, because it's not coming from coffee; it's coming from the co-ferment.
Right. And so what,
and that's still fine, yeah. Or I mean, if it's transparent, I don't think it's a problem, right?
I don't have a problem with people, whether it's farmers, importers, roasters, or cafe owners that want to sell co-ferments at all. I believe that you should sell whatever the fuck you want. It's your business. You should sell what you want. Be transparent about it. And don't be embarrassed by the fact that you're building a business, as long as you believe in the product. I think that you should sell something that you have no problem selling. And find an audience that wants that product and isn't ashamed of selling that product, because that's not good business. We're not doing anyone any favors by doing that. But the problem I have with regards to competitions is that they look down their nose at co-ferments, as though co-ferments don't have the right to be in competitions the same way that other coffees deserve to be in competitions. And I'm not sure that that's fair either, because of a lot of reasons of why people know that I don't like coffee competitions. It brings us back to elitism. It brings us back to, there's no way that people, unless it's an infused coffee, is there a way to prove that a coffee is a co-ferment?
It's possible, but it's very complicated actually. So it's very hard, because what you're fermenting is, you add fruits, you ferment fruits. I mean, coffee cascara, which you're fermenting in a tank, is also a fruit. So the bacteria that grow, they grow they get, food, sugar, bacteria and yeast from the fruit, and they produce new molecules, which then end up in the green bean. Yes, something is happening. You get flavors from the products that you added to, but it's very hard to prove. It's possible to say in certain aspects, if you have, flavors that are not in coffee, that come from the co-ferment, from certain fruits that are suspiciously, present, that you don't find in coffee. Yes, it can point towards, but to really forensically show that this coffee was co-fermented, it's actually pretty hard. Infused with
that's different.
Essential oils, that's possible, because
Yep.
typically these aromas
Residue.
and the molecules, the flavors that are there in essential oils, you don't find them in coffee. So it's, if you find this in a coffee, then it's a high chance that this was infused.
Right.
Yeah, co-ferment is a bit more problematic. But this is where it's kind of going towards. Earlier, I wanted to make an kind of a parallel from another industry where it happened that what the consumers are now not happy about in the end, where it was driven by consumers, and we see like a similar thing happening in coffee, where we have consumer-driven clear flavors, then we have competition-driven clear flavors, and then how do you fulfill this need even further, easier, cheaper? Because co-fermenting is also an effort, right? I mean, it's also not probably very environmentally friendly. If you need to add strawberries and ferment them with your coffee, it's also a waste of produce, right? That is used to kind of inefficiently add flavor to the coffee. I mean, if you're using some food waste to do this,
Right.
that's great. But a lot of coffees, they are really used with fruits that should be food, but then they basically ferment them, and the effectiveness of the transfer of the flavor from this fermenting fruit into the green bean is actually pretty low in the end. It's kind of also a high effort process, and also then the controlling of this process is also critical. Like sometimes I go around the coffee festival, I can smell over ferment or really rotten flavors from some co-ferments from far away. So not every lot really works. I'm not sure how many get discarded on the farm level actually, how successful farmers are with producing these products these days. But what has now certainly happened is that the next step from this, which is then going fully back towards a completely different field, is flavoring the coffees. And this is
roasted coffee or back to green coffee?
Green coffee.
Right.
Flavoring. And when I talk about flavoring, I mean flavorants, right? I'm talking about adding molecules.
Okay.
Actual chemicals, right? Do you call them natural aromas? So they are present in another natural product, right? And have same structure, or they're completely artificial, as has also happened. Anyway, they are synthetic and they're added to the coffee. And this is now suddenly becoming a thing where I think how I like to see this is like, and it's kind of the worst thing what specialty coffee drinkers and competitors and in this field would want to do is to extract a coffee and add a bit of cinnamon in, and add a bit of strawberry syrup in your coffee. That's like a no-go, right? But somehow getting clear flavors out of green coffee, it's good. That's not a problem. And I see a big double standard here, where if you have some story from the farm, it's fine, but then adding a bit of freeze-dried strawberry between your espresso grounds is a no-go. And that's even
People are doing that?
I don't know if they are. That's
can
just
hope
my
not.
idea, right?
Why are you giving people ideas?
They're co-fermenting. They're co-fermenting green coffee with strawberries. So it's like, from a scientific point of view, really looking at objectively,
there's no difference.
I think there is a difference. Adding it to the espresso grounds is better controlled. You have better efficiency of the extraction. You can do it better. But I mean, I don't know what the flavor is. I just now came up with this example. But it's still a natural product. But then the other part is when we see now flavored coffees, we see coffees that are marketed as special fermentation, as co-fermentation, as some fancy process name, but they are purely flavored because we've got some of samples ourselves, and my friend Ennio Cattegani from Academy du Café, who is a flavor scientist, did himself with a local lab some analysis of green coffee samples that he got. I did in parallel also in our lab. And what we see in these coffees is we find traces of propylene glycol and derivatives. And this is a compound which is a solvent for flavors.
Okay.
And this is not in coffee. So this coffee was flavored with something.
Right.
Now, if they say, okay, they made a natural extract of something and put it in this flavor, and so, I don't know, it's a compelling story or is it an excuse? But we see this and a residue of solvent that is used for flavors for food industry. And furthermore, there were cases where compounds were found that are not present in coffee, that are typical flavoring agents in their pure form. Only one compound, for example, that you can't produce in such a pure form through some co-ferment, because it's normal coffee. You have a normal coffee background of the aroma compounds, and then you have melonal as a watermelon flavor that is used in the when you have
gum and
synthetically flavored food products, right? Like this fake synthetic watermelon flavored candy, you would use this. And then similar for the grape flavor, it was found and a few others. Even I think one of them that was found by Ennio was completely synthetic molecule used as a flavor that is not even a natural one. So it wasn't.
Wow.
It doesn't come up in nature as a flavorant, but it's a synthetic molecule that has. I forgot which one was it exactly, but it was one of the fruits, I think, towards strawberry or so, and it was found in coffee. So clearly flavored, and I think that's now becoming more and more a problem where we're going away from natural coffees, naturally produced coffees, towards purely artificially flavored ones.
It lends the case to, something that we're talking a lot about on the podcast these days, which is direct to farmer relationships. So that you build a relationship with the farmer so that you understand what their journey is around innovation, and you understand, there's shared risk around making sure that you strengthen that relationship and the supply of coffee so that you don't have to do any fucking around to make sure that there's going to be something that sustains both businesses for the long term, and you know what's going on there.
I think the risk is these things have now become so normalized because some of these coffees, they were
in competition
coffee. Yeah, they were in finals in competition, and it's becoming so normalized that everybody's getting away with it.
Yeah.
And I think we should start really talking about it as an issue that is coming up because of the lack of transparency. So if you want flavored coffee, it's good. You have flavored coffee. You can get it from some of the big commercial brands. You can get Nestle with a vanilla flavor.
That's the worst part about it.
Can get you can get from the competition winner from I don't know which competition. So both are flavored.
But they look down on the commercial side of the industry because, they flavor things. But hold on, you're doing the same thing. So stop turning your nose at those people as though you're better than them. At least they have an ingredients list on their packaging. And they have to, by law, be open about it.
That's another thing. The ingredient lists are not declared. So when I talk with some of the scientists or people from the commercial coffee from this field, they just say, we don't know, but maybe there will be a case when somebody gets seriously ill because of the non-disclosed lists. And they have been cases in the food industry before like this, and it's not excluded that it might happen in coffee. And this would seriously damage the reputation of our industry.
Yeah.
If there's a serious allergic reaction to a non-disclosed ingredient.
So, for example, for those who don't know what someone's talking about, let's say in a fermentation tank, somebody puts bananas, and it's known that there are people who have allergies to specific enzymes that are in bananas. Let's say that is not disclosed, that this is a coffee that had actual real bananas. This is not part of the flavor profile of the coffee. Actual bananas were used, and then somebody drank that coffee and had an anaphylactic reaction and ended up in serious trouble in hospital, if it's not declared that the banana was a part of the ingredients of that coffee, let's say that customer asked the barista and they said, hey, listen, does this banana coffee have actual bananas in it? I would understand why a barista who didn't understand how that process worked would turn around and say, no, it's just coffee. But in actual fact, it should have 2 ingredients listed on it so that the consumer can make an adequate decision about consuming that product. Now, if that isn't disclosed, not only is that business going to get into trouble, if that gets into the press, we're in trouble as an industry. People are going to be asking questions about hidden products in coffee. And that's going to be a really big problem for us. And I think we need to have bigger conversations about how that ends up being labelled in our industry. But we haven't had it. They've been too focused on should it be in competitions or not.
Yeah,
Someone's face is worth watching.
Like this. Yeah, what is actually now here controversial, but adding flavor is actually less likely to lead to some sort of problem like this,
Yeah.
But in the end, it's a flavored coffee, and then it's not what we stand for in this industry as the specialty coffee industry. I mean, the commercial coffee has it clear. They're adding it to the coffee grounds, the flavors, and then it's extracted with the coffee, and then you have flavored coffee. It's a standard thing that is doing. So now suddenly we're getting into expensive high-end coffees being flavored on the green coffee side. And I think it's really, really something that we don't want to see this trend continuing.
No.
I mean, it doesn't help anybody. It helps temporarily the farmers who are selling this coffee. But I strongly think this is not the way that we should go forward with the coffee in our industry, because we don't need fake flavors. I mean, we don't need to fake the flavor of our coffee.
It will be definitely interesting to see the way that this goes, given how challenging it's getting to grow coffee, and particularly how challenging it's getting to grow coffee with the kinds of qualities that we want naturally occurring in those coffees. So this will be definitely something that's going to be interesting to track long term. This has been such a delight. I'm so glad we finally got to do this conversation. I'm sorry, folks, that like every episode went for half an hour, but it wasn't going to go any other way. Samo, can you tell people what you guys at ZHAW have got going on right now and where they can find out more information?
Yeah, so we have always our research going on with the companies. So that's a topic that is an ever ongoing thing here with us. Another thing, we have our online course on it's called CAS in Coffee Excellence, where it starts. We just started one actually, so it always starts at the start of October every year, which is like a really program that is meant to increase the coffee knowledge. Because one of the things that I like to teach and what I want to communicate, and also with this podcast, what we're talking here is not to find simple solutions for problems. So really, there's no, to put it into coffee terms, there's no one espresso recipe for all the coffees. So we really want to teach people to experiment themselves, to learn, to educate, and to see what fits best to your case, what fits best to your business, what fits best to your product, and how you can improve it with the direction of improvement that you want, that is for you. So the quality is about, it's a subjective thing, right? So you really want to do this testing to do it. And this is what we want to do as our organization, want to really start people to think more about coffee, experiment, and learn by learning about coffee.
And links, where should they go to find out more about ZHAW and find you on social media?
There's our social media on Instagram, ZHAW Coffee Excellence Center, or my Instagram, or our website.
As always, our last question, Samo. When the future version of you comes back and watches this, what do you hope for him?
Oh, I hope that we are 10 years ahead. I mean, I hope that I come back before, but I hope that if we are 10 years ahead, that we still have our beloved Arabica and still do tasty coffee, and it's not taken over by matcha or co-ferments and flavored coffee.
Gen Z going to take over the world?
Lover, me being a purist of coffee, loving the pure coffee flavors, I hope that we will still be enjoying these coffee flavors in the future with all the passion that we are enjoying them now.
I hope so too. Thank you again. This has been really delightful. I look forward to the next time we get to do this. Would you sign us off for the series?
Thank you, Lee, as well.
Pleasure.
Sure. I hope I do it right. So how did you say peace, love, and peanut butter?
Peace, love, and peanut butter. Have an amazing rest of your day, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you.
This episode is part of a 5-part series produced by Mapper Forward. Check the full playlist and guest details in the show notes, as well as how you can support our work in the coffee industry. Become a premium YouTube subscriber, explore our Patreon and any brands we've partnered with to bring you this podcast. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It really does help us grow our audience.